My talk is going to be, as Niall mentioned, about the Camunda Modeler plugin. But before we start with the plugin, I really would like to share also, since this is like a community session, really have a live coding session, so we will see a lot of code. It's going to be interactive, so although it's after lunch, I will need your help, because if I make typos, and I will make an awful lot of typos, I really need your help, please, to get this session running smoothly. Jakob asked me, okay, before you start off, like showing the plugin, can you also introduce some of those concepts in Camunda, like transactions, boundaries, save points, task listeners, execution listener, and so on and so forth. So we will also have a look at this. So let's get started. So my name is Dirk Budke. I work as a process consultant at UMB. I actually lead the process consulting team, where we do like process analysis, process mapping, always focusing on process automation. So we're not trying to just paint the walls, but try to automate business processes. We also founded the user group, the Swiss user group. So UMB is a company in Switzerland. Sorry. And we founded the Camunda user group in Switzerland. Of course, since it's a community session, feel free to join. Come in, sign up. You will find that on Meetup. We also a certified advanced Camunda partner. So we make a lot of we do a lot of projects together with Camunda, mainly in Switzerland. As I mentioned, I work as a process consultant. I love this job. It's, I would say, the best job. I love being at different places, different companies, see different industries, and most of the time it's beautiful, like clear sky, beautiful lake. It's really fun to implement processes and see like clients being excited. It's really cool. But sometimes things can also get rough, right? So it's waterfall, things break, don't work. Sorry. Sorry, just 1 second. John? Yeah, okay. John? Okay, you got a problem. Right. What time is it? Okay, 2 p.m. It needs to be in production 2 p.m. Oh my goodness, a remote session? Okay. I'll do my best. I have a community here. We try to solve the problem, right? Okay, thank you. I call back later. Okay. Right, so this was John. He has a process problem, order fulfillment process, and it has to be in production half an hour, 2 p.m. I need your help. So let's have a look. So fortunately, he sent me an email like a week ago. So this is how the process looks like briefly. So it's a very simple order fulfillment process. So we can place an order, and when we have an order received, then we can check the order. This is an automated task. Then the order has to be approved by, it's a manual human task by person. Then we send the confirmation, and finally we ship the goods. So this is how the process should work. And it seems it does not work. So let's have a look then. Okay, and this is going to be interactive. Please help me, right? We just have 30 minutes, and now we just have 25. So please help me. Okay, so I switch to the starts. I have to end the presentation to the modeler. This is how the modeler looks like. Who of you have used the Camunda Modeler? All of you. Excellent. Who of you have used task listeners, transactions, task listeners, execution listeners? Good, perfect. So a lot of people can help me. That's really excellent. So the process is triggered. Start off where a REST call, so we can make a REST call to start a Camunda process, the order fulfillment process, and we would like to order some apples, right? So apples are healthy, apple a day, right? But we want to order 10 apples. So this is the standard REST API Camunda uses to start a process. So we use the name of the process, the key, order fulfillment, and then let's try to. Okay. What does it say? No matching process definition. Okay. It seems the server responds, so somehow server seems to be running, but there's no process definition with a key order fulfillment. Okay, so let's have a look in the modeler. How's the process called? Process ID is order fulfillment, so this should be okay. Let's have a look in the cockpit. So this is the Camunda cockpit. I guess most of you have used it as well. Anybody hasn't used it? Who used it? All of you. Good. Excellent. So we go to, let's maybe check if the process has been deployed. Okay, need to log in. Let's log in first. Order process is deployed, and that's good news. It's already deployed. Let's have a look at the diagram. It's there. Any ideas? Time is running. Any ideas? So why can't we start the process? Daniel? It's not executable. It's not executable. Okay, then let's have a look in the modeler. Properties. Oh yeah, there's a flag, executable. It's not. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So let's make it executable. Okay, the executable. And now let's redeploy. 1 second. We go back to the cockpit. Refresh. Now we got a new deployment. And now if I scroll down, we see also the name here. Okay, let's go back to Postman and start off the process again. Wow, excellent. So we are really close. It's already running, right? So let's scroll down. Okay, so we get some results also. We see the variables, apples, okay. 10 apples, but I'm wondering, shouldn't there be like a status? I mean, we have this task check order, and actually I was expecting like getting a result, like a checked order result or a valid order, and it should be valid. I mean, it's going to be validated in that step, right? So it says, okay, there we have a delegate expression. It says delegate expression check order. And if you go to the code, delegate expression check order, there's done something, and we get the order from the context, from the process variable. If it's null, we throw an error. If the order volume is greater than 5, then we say set validate order true. So we have ordered 10 apples, so it should be true, right? But it's not. It's not true. Why is it not true? Let's go to the order object. So this is how the order looks like. It has order item, it's the description, order volume is amount for items, valid order is a Boolean, and the date. Oh, we also don't have the date in the result. Why don't we have the date? So we don't have the valid order attribute and the date. Well, what could have gone wrong? What's the problem? Okay, let's go back to so we go here. Maybe we can look in the cockpit. Where's the process? Let's go to the cockpit. We are already in cockpit. Okay, process, history view. Okay, here we are. Here we are, the process is there. Order received. So we executed check order, actually. So it has been executed. So maybe let's have a look in the log. Let's go to the log. Okay, there's an exception, that's not good. What we have here, found valid license key, that's good. Order is not valid. Order is not valid. Order is not valid. It says order, get all of them greater than 5, it should be valid. Else, set order, but it should be valid, right? It should be valid. So, and and the log, and what else is in the log? Can you see that? Maybe I make it a bit larger. Oh, it says order volume 1. Jesus, why is it 1? Why is it 1? I mean, we sent... oops, sorry. So this is live. So we sent order volume 10, and now it's 1 in the log. Any ideas?
How is it injected?
Say again?
How is it injected to the task?
Okay, let's have a look. So this is check order. So the log statement comes from, let's have a look. Check order delegate. So it's actually here in the check order delegate. So it's this log statement, right? Warning, order is not valid. And this is a check order, and we have a delegate expression check order, and the name of the bean is check order. Should be fine, right? Any listeners? Let's check the listeners. Listeners. Okay, listeners. No listeners. Start event. Listeners at the start. Oh, there's one. End script. Does nothing. I don't know. Any? Daniel, please tell me. We have 20 minutes left. Nothing. Data. You mean like input, outputs? Input. Input. Oh, there are some input variables. What's that? Local order. And oh my goodness, this JavaScript there, inline Java. Oh, I heard like don't use inline JavaScript, right? Oh my goodness, someone hacked, like hard coded some data there. It lays peers and order volume 1. Okay, I see. Order volume 1. Someone. Okay, maybe we don't need like this local order here, maybe because our variable is like called order. It should be order, right? Okay, so maybe just remove that one. Let's remove that one. Okay. In the source, there's local order. Okay. Okay. Let's rename that order. Anything else? Okay. Okay. Let's try. Okay. Deployed. Postman. Send. Same. Okay. And in the log, what's in the log? Oh yeah, now we got a lot of exceptions. Oh yeah. Job executor. That's a long stack trace. What's that? Okay, check order, exception by closing. Any ideas? I really have, to be honest, I have no clue. Null pointer exception, we got a null pointer. Outbound mapping. Okay, maybe we'd have to. Oh, okay, let's go down. Outbound. Null pointer, what's that? Good point. I will check that in a millisecond. Okay, let's check that. Look at variable local. You're right. Who mentioned that? Yeah, okay, it's a global scope, right? So in Camunda we have like different variable scopes, so like the global process variable scope and then like local scopes. Okay, now we get the order. If the order is not okay, let's try again. So thank you so much, because I was still looking the traces. Okay, let's send it. Oh no, volume 10. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. Order is valid. Hey, excellent, the order is valid. Fantastic. Hey, thank you so much. I think we are closer. Okay, let's go to cockpit again. Let's see where we are. Order new version. Now we got version 2, right? And the process is there. The approve order step. Let's go to the variables. So we have the check order. No, variables. Here we go. The order object. Let's have a look at the order. Order apples. Nice. 10. Valid order is true, but we haven't seen that in Postman. Why? Let me go back. It just says in the response, order volume 10. But here it says, valid order is true, and we also have the order date, and that's a beautiful formatted date. Any ideas? So why don't we get this in return? Why don't we see that? Async after. Async. Let's check the async transactional behavior, right? So in Camunda we have fine-grained control of the save points. And here we have like asynchronous before, asynchronous after, where we can create a manual or explicit save point. So there is none. Oh, there's asynchronous after. Okay. So this actually means when we trigger off the process using the REST API, it will the thread will stop there and return the result, right? And the check order is done at this step. So we don't have the result of the check order task yet. So let's change that. Exclusive? No, it's like this, okay. Deploy. Send. Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much. Now we got the orders valid, okay, without that. We have the order date, all good. Let's go to cockpit and see where we are. Okay, it's there, approve order. So let's try to approve the order. So let's go to task list. Okay, I've got my old task as well. This is approve order. It's assigned to me already, that's nice. Let load variables. It's true, okay. Say string, okay, it's true. Order's checked, excellent. That's completed. So I go back to cockpit, processes, history view. Let's have a look where we are. Oh, incidents. Oh, shit. Okay, incidents. Let's have a look at the incident. No, where we go? Okay. There's the incident. Field definition uses unexisting field order name. What? Okay. So the beautiful thing is now we got an incident. We could actually restart the process from that point, and we have the direct access to the stack trace. That's nice. So we say unexisting field order name. Order name. What's that? Okay. Unexisting field on, okay. Field is null, okay. Let's have a look. So it's this one, confirm order, field injection. Anybody use field injection? Wow. So I changed that one. Or the name. So with field injection, we can parameterize Java delegates or listener components. If you don't really have a very good reason to use that, think about that if you really want to use it. So it has also some disadvantages using that. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, deployed. Okay, we got the result. Beautiful. Order fulfillment process. Now we should have a new version 4. And there's the task, right? Have to complete the task first. It's there. Complete. Go back to cockpit. Wow, it finished. Fantastic. Hey. Even have a beautiful heat map. Right, fantastic. Hey, thank you so much for your help. It was like quite stressful. Let me just call John, maybe. John? Okay. Actually, it's running. It was just a couple of typos, nothing serious. It's all working, all fine. You can go in production. We were 10 minutes faster than I expected. Perfect. So good luck with that, and all the best. Ciao. Right. So as you've seen, this can become pretty stressful. without your help, and if you haven't seen the code and you don't know like the model and you don't know where the listeners are, you don't know where the Java delegates are, where the transaction boundaries are, the input-output mappings, this can be really stressful to define, to trace problems. And for that reason, yeah, I mean, we have seen that also in the keynote Jakob held this morning. There's this well-known property hell or death of the property panel, right? And we all don't want to die the death of the property panel, right? So the question is, how can we escape this? How can we somehow find those errors that we had in the project much faster with all the stress? Like going back to this one, to the beautiful clear sky, mountains, and beautiful lake. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. So we had a problem like the process didn't start. That's very, very common. So it's very often that you deploy a new process, it's not executable, very, very often. Then, because we have to integrate like some systems, and those systems might not be available, it's very often the case that there are some values hard-coded. Used like input-output mappings to create some variables very quickly and hard-code some values. Then there might be all kinds of execution listeners, task reassignments, like service integration in execution listeners, and so on and so forth. And checking all those properties in the Camunda Modeler manually, in particular when the process is much larger, not just 5 steps, but maybe like 20 steps, some gateways, so on and so forth. It can be really time consuming. In particular, if your tasks don't have like proper namings, because then you will just see in the logs like the ID of the task, and you have basically no clue where the problem occurred. So same with like transaction boundaries. I mean, we have seen like the process was running perfectly fine, but since there was a transaction boundary at the end of the start event, we didn't get the result that we expected. So basically what we have, we don't have an overview. We can't see on a glance what's going on, what's happening. And that was, I mean, that is the idea of the BPMN model, right? To see on the first glance what's happening, that we don't have to dive into the code. And that was our motivation to develop the plugin for the Camunda Modeler. So like, I think like 2 years ago to 1.5, the modeler has to be extended by an API that everybody in the community can develop own custom plugins. And we developed the property info plugin, or some colleagues of my team developed it. And it helps to see just directly on the diagram all kinds of, like if we see like the brown badges, like the task IDs, what's the name of the task. We see like start listeners is the green little badge, the L. If it's like left on the task, it's like a start listener. If it's at the end, it's an end listener. We have like input-output mapping. It's like this. Let me put on the. Can you see that? Well, it's hard to see. Okay. Input-output mappings here at the check order. So E is input, O is output. Then at the approve order, we see this T. That means it's a transaction. It's a task listener, together with like execution listeners. We have the F, which is like the field injection. We have the E. We haven't seen that in the examples, like an extension property. And we have those blue little icons, which are transaction boundaries. And would like to show you this also live in the modeler. So if we go to the modeler, I've installed a plugin. So if you install plugins, you will get this menu item plugins. And here's this Camunda property infos plugin. And we can use like shortcut and enable properties. And here we see, for instance, here we have the listener, start event listener. Here we have output mapping. So when I add like an input mapping, we see directly, okay, there's an input mapping. So, and if I enable like transaction boundaries, we see here, okay, there's a transaction boundary, there's one. And originally we also had one here. like this. And also like documentation on tasks is a very nice feature. But it's hard actually to see the documentation because like you have to go select the task, go to the documentation field, which is not very big, and it's just plain text. And here you can just hover over it and have the documentation of the task. So for us, this really helps to get a very quick overview of a process that somebody else modeled with all those technical attributes displayed directly on the diagram. And the first error I've forgotten to mention, that one we see here, now this process is executable. If we deselect this checkbox, it's saying it's red, right? It's not executable, it's just for documentation. Right, okay. So the question is, where can you download it? It's on GitHub. If you enter like GitHub/UMB, you will find our GitHub repository, and there's the first repository is the Camunda Modeler property info plugin. You could just download the latest release. So you go to releases and then download the 0003 beta release. And we'll have all those nice features that we have just seen. You download it. You have to put this into a folder in the Camunda Modeler. Let me just try to show you that. Just a second. Camunda Modeler. There's a plugins folder, and you just download the file, extract it, unzip it, and you will get this structure, and then it runs. It works. And it's really compatible. So we had this for, I think, starting with the version 1.5 or 4 maybe, and the API is really stable. So we didn't have to change anything there. It's really cool. So the question might be, okay, are there any other plugins? Of course, there are multiple plugins. So there's actually a plugin store. I think it's like this one, this link. So it's in the slide, you will find that one. So there are also other plugins, like a token simulation plugin and some other visualization plugins, and probably Niall or other presentations are going to cover those. So next question might be, so how can we develop our own plugin? How does it work? So it's really, really simple. That's a cool thing. You need basically an index.js file to define the Node.js module. It consists of a name, so you have to come up with a name. So for example, awesome plugin. You have to define a CSS file for the styles, a menu.js file for the menu entry, and some script for some more advanced stuff. And that one is then not so simple anymore. But the first three are really simple. And what we can do is, I did a very simple thing, sample. So let's create our own plugin. So this is our CamundaCon plugin, CamundaCon 2018 plugin. Copy that, index.js. So this is the index.js file. It references menu.js. So now we have to create a menu file. I've copied that one. I prepared that already. Maybe let's change the name. Berlin. So now we expect like a menu item and a CSS file, maybe some beautiful color in the background. I don't know what this means. Maybe somebody of you know. Let's check. Okay, and the CSS. And okay, now we have to restart the modeler. Okay, save. Shall we save it? Yeah, save. Restart the modeler. Modeler. Oh, it didn't work? Okay, unknown plugin. Doesn't sound good. Okay, so maybe there's so we're still in the live coding, right? Let's go back. So it's the plugin. We called it my plugin template. Index.js. Maybe I didn't save it. Have I saved it? Ah, okay. Thank you so much. Let's do that again. Ooh, nice, isn't it? Nice colors, so you can customize your modeler, use your favorite background color. And here we see our CamundaCon 2018 plugin, and we have an entry. And of course, you can also go one step further and integrate BPM, JS, and the DMN. No, BPMN is not yet, isn't supported yet, but the BPM, JS. And then it gets a bit more advanced. So basically what you need to do then is you have to provide a script.js file, and there's also the template in the repository how to do that. And then you can interact with the BPMN model, and as we did, display those badges, do some overlays, all kinds of stuff. So you can really interact with the BPMN model. But it's a bit more advanced, so maybe can show you how our plugin looks like. It's this one. So you see, okay, it's a bit more. It has a bit more code. Okay, right. So with that, I'd like to conclude. I'm at the end of the presentation. I really like to thank you, everybody, for your attention, and open up for questions. Thank you.